Elena Gabriela Udrea, Romanian pronunciation, Elena Udrea, born December 26, 1973, is a Romanian politician, an independent who held office while in the Democratic Liberal Party and then the People's Movement Party. She was a member of the Romanian Chamber of Deputies from 2008 to 2016. In successive Emil Boc cabinets, she served as tourism minister from 2008 to 2009 and as regional development and tourism minister from 2009 to 2012. Biography, education and legal career. Udrea was born in Buzău and completed secondary studies at the city's Bogdan Petreceacu Hasdu National College. She then attended the Faculty of Law and Public Administration at Bucharest's Dumitru Cantemir Christian University, graduating in 1996. In 2005, Udrea began studies at the Caroline National Defense University, receiving the master's degree in military science in 2007. She began work on a doctorate in the same field, but abandoned the endeavor in 2012. Udrea worked as a lawyer in Bucharest from 1997 to February 2005, resuming the practice of law that December. At Dumitru Cantemir, she began teaching political systems in autumn 2007, and she has authored or co-authored 5 works on geopolitics and globalization. Some of her activities as a lawyer have drawn criticism from the non-governmental political investigation group. For instance, it has questioned the fact that while an opposition city councillor in 2004, she represented the government-run Department for State Heritage Administration, RARAPS, at one point receiving public contracts worth 710 million lei during a single week. Political career. Udrea began her political activity in 2002 as a legal advisor to the Social Democratic Party, PSD. She joined the National Liberal Party, PNL, that year, becoming a Bucharest city councillor in June 2004. During the period of the Justice and Truth Alliance, she held that office until the following February, and during that time was president of the Council's Committee on Law and Discipline. In October 2005 she resigned from the PNL, joining the Democratic Party, PD, precursor to today's PDL, in February 2006. In December, she was elected the party's executive secretary, becoming a vice president of the PDL a year later. In these capacities, she promoted the party and spoke approvingly of the president. For instance, ahead of the 2008 local election, from February to November 2005, while away from her law practice, Udrea was a state councillor and head of the presidential chancellery under President Traian Băsescu. Among her roles were summarizing secret documents addressed to the presidency, approving lists of invitees to Cotroceni Palace and representing the presidency at various events. During this period, she launched a series of attacks on Prime Minister Călin Popescu-Tarașanu, who had fallen out of favor with Băsescu. These centered on Tarașanu's opposition to having early elections. She also drew notice for speaking during a televised interview about a president of Norway, which is a monarchy, and of that country as a member of the European Union, which it is not. Udrea resigned her post after 8 months, citing the profoundly unjust attacks on her and others involved in Băsescu's anti-corruption drive, and her desire not to become a liability for her boss. These controversies centered around the RARAPS affair and alleged links she and her husband had to the parking firm Dali, headed by what Băsescu had termed the personal mafia of his 2004 election rival Adrian Năstase. Moreover, she was characterized as the blonde from Golden Blitz, a Cotroceni restaurant once frequented by Băsescu and the owners of which had business ties to Udrea's husband, having been photographed there with President-elect Băsescu in 2004. Despite rumors to the contrary, she stated in an interview that her relationship with the president was strictly professional. Following her resignation, Udrea continued to act as a presidential surrogate, soon afterwards accusing the Prime Minister of placing a call to a prosecutor on behalf of his friend and business partner Dinu Patriciu on the day of Patricia's arrest. She returned to this theme in 2007, when she alleged that Tarașanu had written the president a note soliciting the latter's intervention in the case. At the 2008 legislative election, Udrea won 43.4% of the vote in her district, enough to gain a seat in parliament for Bucharest once redistribution took place. 3 days after the legislative session opened, she was sworn into the new office of tourism minister. All government employees on 2 floors of the Victoria Palace were evicted in order to make room for the new ministry. As minister, her goals included raising tourism's share of Romania's GDP from 3.5% in 2008 to 10% by 2012, and a renewed focus on the country's spa towns. During the summer of 2009, a parliamentary committee headed by Ludovic Orban of the opposition National Liberal Party, PNL, investigated alleged abuses at the ministry, including documents signed in Udrea's name by her subordinates, a flawed contracting process, the spending of unallocated funds, and the disbursement of money to town halls based on political rather than tourist potential criteria. In September, the committee's report recommended her dismissal and criminal charges for abuse of office, conflict of interest and negligence. She refused to resign and denounced the fabricated accusations. That October, she became interim environment minister following the resignation of her PSD cabinet colleagues, including Nicolae Nemeși, the previous occupant of that ministry. In December, a new cabinet, also led by Boc, came into office. There, Udrea held the regional development and tourism portfolio, along with the rest of the cabinet. She resigned in February 2012 amid anti-government protests. In July 2010, following the departure of Liviu Negoită, she became interim head of the Bucharest PDL chapter, assuming the post on a permanent basis later that year when she was the only candidate to fill it, and vowing in her acceptance speech to rid the capital of independent Mayor Sorina Prescu. She resigned from this position in the wake of the 2012 local election that saw the PDL perform poorly in Bucharest, including Oprescu's winning a new term with a majority of votes cast. Shortly thereafter, she also quit her position as PDL vice president. For the 2012 election, Udrea ran in a seat based in the city of Roman. Although placing second, she won another term through redistribution. In March 2013, Udrea ran for the PDL leadership but was defeated by incumbent Vasil Blaga on a 51-44 margin. In January 2014, Udrea, whom Blaga was preparing to expel from the PDL, resigned from the party following disagreements with his leadership record, and joined the People's Movement Party, PMP. That June, she was elected PMP president, defeating Daniel Funeriu on a 78-22 margin. In August, the PMP candidate for the November presidential election, Cristian Diaconescu, quit the party and went ahead with a campaign as an independent amid moves by Udrea to assume his role. Subsequently, a party congress chose the latter as its new candidate, the only dissenting vote coming from Cristian Preda. At the election, she finished in 4th place, with 5.2% of the vote. and while not explicitly endorsing the Christian Liberal Alliance's Klaus Iohannis for the ensuing runoff, did urge her supporters to vote against the PSD's Victor Ponta. In January 2015, she was questioned by prosecutors from the National Anti-Corruption Directorate on charges of money laundering and false statements on declarations of assets, as part of a wider investigation into the Microsoft licensing corruption scandal. As a result, she stepped aside as PMP president, with Eugen Tomac taking over the party on an interim basis. The following month, she was indicted on 2 counts of influence peddling and 1 count of money laundering. The case was able to proceed after her parliamentary immunity was lifted. A second case involves charges of receiving bribes for a 2011 gala event in honor of boxer Lucien Butte. Udrea ran as an independent in the 2016 election and won some 3,000 votes, well short of the approximately 25,000 needed to capture a seat. In March 2017, she was convicted of bribery and abuse of power in the Butte case, receiving the 6-year prison sentence. Subject to appeal, Udrea reacted by characterizing the proceedings as a matter of life and death, stating she would not accept to go to prison for what she termed completely unproven accusations and bold-faced lies. She subsequently filed an appeal. Personal life. The businessman Dorin Kokos became her husband when the couple married on Udrea's 30th birthday in 2003, at the Romanian consulate in New York City. They divorced in June 2013. In August 2011, Udrea generated controversy when she wore a Dolce & Gabbana dress that some media outlets claimed cost £14,310. To which she responded that the actual cost was some 20 times less. 3 months later, she appeared on the cover of the Romanian magazine Taboo wearing a rubber dress and thigh-high boots. See also, List of corruption scandals in Romania. Notes. In Romanian. Official site. In Romanian. Profile at the Romanian Chamber of Deputies site. In Romanian. Profile at the Romanian government site.